What's going on, family? Welcome back to Israel's Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be discussing, the grotesque film called Men, 2022. I saw this movie because it was requested to me on Instagram by one of my followers, and they wanted me to review this movie. It's not really one of those movies that are pretty much explainable. I'm a huge fan of Alex Garland, who directed this film. I love his previous films, especially Ex Machina, and I love Annihilation. The visual work, the plots in those movies, I think worked for me well. But with this movie, I'm not gonna lie, he lost me. The film is very effective. In the first half hour, the characters are introduced with airtight, exposition, and like a film like his, you have this riveting dialogue. The atmosphere is developed with gorgeous shots, beautiful cinematography. The soundtrack was pretty good, but borderline suspect, and we'll get down to that in this review. But yeah, the cinematography very haunting. And it envelopes each scene in kind of a dreadful way, which was called for in a movie like this. After this near perfect first act, the film, in my opinion, falls flat on its face. The artistic representation remains technically gorgeous throughout the film, but there's no sense of narrative, cohesion, character development, consistency throughout the film. It was very interesting because it avoided doing certain things over and over again throughout the film. For about the second half of this film, I felt like it already had reached its thematic height. And then you have the director, Alex Garland, who I felt like didn't have anything to say with a simplified message throughout this film, which was basically, hammering, cultural acceptance, misogyny, very bizarre imagery that deflates any kind of tension throughout the movie or any serious danger that you might feel. I feel like sometimes he tries to insult you, insult the intelligence of the viewer, whoever watched this movie. I don't know how many people are going to really see this movie, but Men felt like an exercise. It's too much and yet not enough. Because when Alex goes for it, he really does go for it. Feels like he throws everything but the kitchen sink at his audience in terms of visuals and sound design. On one hand, this movie satisfies on a purely primal level, because this movie is very crisp, very beautiful to see. Has very bright colors, which permeate the movie, coupled with a lot of booming and borderline intrusive sounds to the score. You have something that your eyes and ears will easily, happily soak up. And in fact, from the movie start, you're immediately in awe because of what you're looking at. And then you get these visuals that don't necessarily tell a story. Looking past the striking visuals and this kind of euphoric soundtrack, and Oscar, worthy acting from Jessie Buckley. You have yourself a movie that lacks development. It's too long on the draw. The movie takes its time setting up its main character, but by doing so, the film becomes primarily a character piece with kind of thriller elements to it. The horror doesn't really kick in until, I say, about the third act. This wouldn't be a bad thing if the movie actually had a satisfying story tied to a drama, and then the horror together, but it feels like two separate movies. It feels like a study on grief and a home invasion thriller, honestly. Sure, you're gonna get all the suspense and bloodshed you want out of this type of premise in a film, you'll get a stunning lack of explanation as to why things are happening the way they're happening. Well, you will get an explanation. Just it's not what you think. You know, one that you'll find in one of the laziest cop-outs for an ending that I've seen in some time. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't believe this movie's rated R because it's so graphic. I had my suspicions on this movie before I was watching it. Basically, to give you a plot in a nutshell, the plot is inherently poor. To me, it lacks interest. It's not interesting. Jessie Buckley stars in this as a woman named Harper. Follows her as she retreats to a vacation home in the English countryside after experiencing a personal tragedy. She loses her husband. Things just seem to go far bad worse for her throughout the film. And she stumbles across this town where the men look strikingly familiar. It's an intriguing premise, especially since the film it employs very emotional, dramatic tensions to drive this kind of story forward. You'll find yourself invested in the puzzle, but then it leaves you flat. It doesn't deliver. It doesn't give you a satisfying conclusion. This movie basically, it crumbles. I don't know if that was the filmmakers' decisions to do what they did in this film. I clearly didn't know what to think of it, actually. It's a lack of satisfying narrative development. Doesn't wholly succeed as either a drama or horror film. However, it's so well acted and so pretty to look at that you might get through the whole film. But it's not a movie that's rewatchable. My recommendation is to give this wholly, I would say watch it solely for its sights, its sounds. Temper your expectations, because in terms of a storyline, it doesn't have enough there. The film starts out very promisingly. The main character, goes through a lot, but it's just one of those weird movies. It's just one of those weird movies. It completely, ruined the whole movie for me, the way it ended. And this must be one of the most grotesque endings in films you might ever see, honestly. I thought watching A24's X was kind of crazy. This movie throws it out the water. You're going to be like, what the fuck? Yeah. It shocks me. I felt like Alex Garland really didn't know how to conclude the story and just decided to rely on making some kind of impression using the same old horror movie CGI effects we've seen in so many films before. For me, like I said, it completely ruined what could have been a good film. This one was definitely not meant for me. I hope you enjoy it. If you're into disturbing, realistic, and somewhat disappointing horrors, if you're a fan of Alex Garland, I would recommend you see this just for the sake of saying I saw this. It's full of cliches. It's not really a good script. Beautiful film, like I said, to look at, but I was vastly disappointed with this film. The biggest takeaway for me was the build-up took too long, and the release of what could have been such an epic time, they lacked in it. They lacked. What's the sense of having your person's attention for about half hour, and then for another half hour, for another hour and a half? Yeah. So definitely save yourself. Honestly, don't see this movie. And if you do see it, let me know what you think in the Discord. Let me know, did you think this movie was grotesque or grotesque? Because, man, some of the shit you see in this movie is like, huh? Yeah. I left thinking, what the heck did I just see? Was this a horror film? Was this science fiction? Ooh. was a shapeshifter involved. I can't believe this because I love these other movies, but I think they took it to a whole nother level in this one. So I don't know what to give it. 6 out of 10, and that's being nice. And that's solely for cinematography. So let me know what you think if you do end up seeing this movie. And if you like this review, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. And if you want more content from me, all you gotta do is subscribe in the future, man. Peace. Till the next one.